This video is sponsored by Alpha Draft. Fuck the fantasy LCS when you have Alpha Draft. I already made $2.20 by screwing around for 5 minutes. Check out a link in the description below. Hey guys, what is going on? This is Pantstar Dragon, and today we're doing a patch 5.15 rundown of the changes. In this patch, there's not actually a lot of changes going on, so it'll be a fairly short video. So let's get right into it, and first up I'm going to be going over FIORA and my thoughts about her. So the new FIORA, I feel like her laning phase is really strong, because what she can do is poke the enemy with her Q, and if she hits a vital, then she's probably going to win that trade, especially since she does gain some health when she does hit a vital spot. And even if she doesn't, and the enemy tries to retaliate onto her, she has a repulse to block any kind of burst damage, so that's really good for her. And also her ease and auto attack reset, while also applying a slow onto the enemy and also giving some burst damage with the crit coming from the second hit. Overall, FIORA is a great laner, and a good FIORA will destroy you, as there's a lot of skill in using her W at the right times and just totally outplaying you at that moment. And she's also really good at chasing the enemy, as her Q is on a low cooldown so you can keep gap closing onto the enemy. And also, the new rework FIORA has 2 escapes. First off, it's going to be your Q. You don't need a minion anymore, so you can just dash if you want to. And 2, you have your W to ignore all damage and of course slowed enemies coming onto you, or stun them if they use hard CC. So it can be quite difficult to gank a FIORA if she has these 2 abilities up. And also her ultimate is actually really good dueling for 1v1. It allows her to of course restore a lot of health, because her passive gives her health if you didn't know, and doing a lot of true damage to the enemy if she can pop those vitals. But as you can see here, it is very hard to pop all 4 of the vitals because your Q isn't on the lowest cooldown unless you have like cooldown reduction, and usually the enemy will just run from you if you activate the ultimate, so it's really hard to get behind a fleeing target. And in most situations, I don't think you're actually going to pop all 4 vitals, so I can see it being more used as marking an enemy for death, so you can get that Janna Monsoon for your team, and of course tower dive the enemy if you need to. And I think the Janna Monsoon part of it is a really broken aspect of it, since like if you have 100 bonus AD and you're level 16, it'll heal your team and you for 1000 hit point, so that can turn a team fight around really fast. And now that she has like a bit more utility and losing a bit of damage, I can see her being more of a bruiser tank than an AD assassin, because she doesn't have her ultimate to like one-shot the enemy squishies. She now has this ultimate that kind of takes a while to pop all 4 vitals, and even then you probably won't pop it. You'll probably want to use it for, you know, the healing. So yeah, she's probably going to pick up 1 or 2 damage items and then start building full tank. She wants to stay in these teamfights to pop those vitals and not to burst someone down anymore. More sustained damage for sure. There might be also a possibility where people won't even build damage items. Her base damage off her passive and her ultimate healing is really strong by itself, so they may go into something like a Sunfire for the wave clear and then Spirit Visage and, you know, basically going full tank. And if people want to build some damage on FIORA, they should just probably build some AD. No armor penetration because, well, half her damage is true damage, and the scaling on her Q and passive is pretty strong. But her base damage for physical damage skills, aka her Q and E, is pretty weak. And that's why I don't really think Black Cleaver is good on her unless she has like Ravenous Hydra. But my final comment about her is I do feel like she's very strong right now. I definitely think she's going to be used in competitive play, just because of how dominant she is in the laning phase. The only risk she has is not activating the Janna Monsoon part of her ultimate, because that is actually a big deal in team fights. That's a really game-changing ultimate if it does proc. Oh, and also, a cool trick with her is you can pop a vital and then activate your ultimate onto an enemy to get another vital on the same spot, so you kind of have like 5 vitals going on and potentially a lot of true damage. But again, it's pretty hard to activate all 5 vitals. And in that case, maybe Blade Rune King might be an item for her too, but I don't know, I don't really like the attack speed stat on her. Just maybe the active helps for proccing the passive. Alright, next up we're going to be talking about Echo. Alright, so basically his passive is getting an AP ratio buff, the slow is getting a nerf, W's base shield is being reduced by 70, while the AP ratio is basically being doubled, and on his R, the health restored is now being reduced to 20% at all ranks, but the healing AP ratio is being buffed. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, let's talk some numbers. So first up, 0.1 increase on the AP ratio on his passive is not a lot. Think of it this way, for every 100 AP you get, that's 10 more damage on your passive, and you'll only probably proc it once on an enemy in a team fight, so it's not that great, and the slow is going down by 10% at each rank. But I don't think it's too much, I think it's fine. You definitely lose 20% at level 18, but Echo's late game isn't that strong anyways, so you just want to win the game early and mid game. And now let's talk about the shield base and the AP ratio on his W. So remember, for the majority of the game, this skill is going to be at rank 1, since you gotta max out E and Q. So 70 base shield loss is pretty big, at least for tank Jungle Echo, but it doesn't matter because the CC is still there, and I think that's what tank Echo is all about. And now we're just making AP Echo basically invulnerable since he has a big shield for at least the duration of his shield. It's not OP at all because it doesn't last for a long time. But now when someone's making a shield montage, looks like they're going to be using Echo. And now let's just talk a little bit about his AP ratio on his ultimate. So let's say you're level 16 and you have like 500 AP. Before, you'd only heal 46% of the damage dealt, plus 10% if you're level 16, which equals to about 56%, and now you heal 63%. That doesn't really sound too OP, so it's like whatever. But as you can see, Riot is enforcing AP Echo instead of Tank Echo, because I personally think Tank Echo is garbage, but in Korea they're still playing Tank Echo in the jungle, so they just want to kind of stop that and emphasize more of a AP-centric champion. I think he's going to be an AP jungler since Runeglaive is a really good item right now, or he's going to be a top laner. But I also don't think a lot of people like AP Echo in competitive play. Next up, Nidalee is getting a few nerfs this patch, and as you can see here, the cast time is being doubled, so now you can react faster to a spear coming towards you. And the spear damage is being decreased by 20 at max rank, which also means the maximum spear damage is being reduced by 60. And now the vision when casting your W is less, so it basically won't reveal an area for you. This is a nerf to like level 1 invading the enemy and, just trying to get a vision of a certain area, but it's not a big nerf. But let's talk about the spear damage nerf. So you might be thinking, is this going to hurt her a lot and make her not in the top 5? Probably not, because what she relies on in the early game is just hitting the spear so she can get the hunted mark bonus and enhance her cougar form abilities. Plus it still does the same damage in the early game, it just kind of gets nerfed a bit when you get like 5 points into it. And also, ever since Runeglaive was released, Nidalee kind of relies half of her damage on auto attacks when she's ganking. So it's honestly not a big deal, and if you want to make up for that maximum spear damage loss, all you need to get is 50 AP. And since it's like kind of like the Evelyn nerf where I thought she was going to be bad, but it turns out she was still good, well, then same goes for Nidalee. But her base damage didn't get gutted as much as Evelyn, so she's probably still going to be a top tier jungler. Next up, we're going to be talking about Sivir. So as you can see here, nerfs coming to her R. Initial movement speed is being decreased at earlier ranks, and allies who entered her aura won't get the initial movement speed anymore. Okay, so with this nerf, she's probably going to be bumped down a bit in the tier list, because honestly, losing 20% movement speed and 10% for like 2 or 3 seconds is a lot of stats gone. I do value movement speed as a really good stat, and obviously the other nerf hurts too, since you're taking movement speed away from allies who potentially had more before. But I still feel like she will be in the top 5, just because teamfights don't start until like she's level 11, so at least she'll have like 50% movement speed still. But I just don't know how much of an impact this other nerf has on her. Next up, we're going to be talking about the skill changes of Teemo. So his passive and his R are getting tweaked a bit. There's a lot of changes happening, so I'm just going to say it very quickly. So attack speed bonus coming from his passive is increased at later levels. Stealth timer is reduced to 1.5 seconds. If you're in a bush, it stealths for 0.75 seconds. And now you can move inside a bush while camouflage. So kind of seems like you're going to be playing a Rengar style with the bush. And trying this passive on the PBE, I think it's good because you get increased attack speed so you can trade better. And when you're getting ganked, if they don't have any skill shots or click and point targeted abilities, I think you're going to be fine. But honestly, there's a lot of abilities in this game which are skill shots or AoE. The only combo I can think of off the top of my head is like a Nasus and Nocturne trying to gank you, and it'll take like, I don't know, probably like 5 minutes to kill you or something like that. Unless he's AP Nasus, then that's a whole nother story. But honestly, I just think it's a really useless passive besides that. Well, actually, I do have a clip in Season 3 where I baited the enemy team into tower diving my Vi who they thought was alone. But obviously she wasn't, and you just have to play mind games with the enemy and try and bait them into Teemo situations. But other than that, I don't think I'll ever use it unless you're like really good at setting up ambushes. Next up, let's talk about the changes coming to his R. So there's like a lot of nerfs coming to his R, but one really interesting buff. The duration is lowered to 5 minutes. That's really bad. The slow decays, the arm time is 1.5 seconds. And finally, mushrooms can now be 2-shot by melee champions. But now there's a buff where you can throw his feces at enemies from a distance when he gets to level 11 and 16. But of course, you have to remember the arm time is 1.5 seconds, so it's probably going to be more of a zoning tool in team fights if anything. Or just like Caitlyn, comboing it with someone else's CC, so Malphite Ultimate or Sejuani, and you're throwing it at a relatively safe range, so it's pretty good in that aspect. And so basically what happens to Teemo is his map control has been nerfed, but his team fighting is definitely better. Overall, I guess he's not going to be as super annoying as he was before. Oh, and I guess you can consider the mushrooms bouncing off each other as a buff. And it actually is a buff because if you cast your R at maximum range and then you cast it again, you can extend the range of his R. And so it's not really something stupid like disabling a champion for a lore event, if you know what I mean. So it is an interesting interaction, and it also doesn't allow you to stack mushrooms anymore. which if you didn't know didn't work. And after these buffs, is he going to be a meta champion? Probably not, but there's always hope because, you know, Leandres did get buffed and he is one of the users of that item, so maybe. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Zeke's Harbinger, and so what they're doing to it is making it harder to charge this item up, but if you can get it activated in a team fight, it's definitely more worth it because the buff duration lasts for 8 seconds. In my opinion on item, I do see people buying it. I'm not sure if it's like a must-buy item at the moment. Maybe in like certain situations where your AD carrier is really far ahead and you want to buff him somehow. Or she's just like a hyper carrier like Jinx or Tristan or something like that. Anyways, thanks guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy this video and want to see my analysis for the next patch, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And also, feedback and criticism is welcome. So if you think something needs improving on this video or something you want to see, feel free to leave a comment below. And I do apologize if I do sound kind of tired in this video, but that is because I pulled an all-nighter to fix my sleep schedule. But anyways, I am Panther Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.